Welcome to Students of Aging, the podcast that honors the incredible journeys and stories of seniors growing older. Tune in and become a part of our community as we redefine what it means to age gracefully and purposefully.
Because I just was smart and I wanted to do something with my intelligence.
My name is Jeff Young, and I'm a member of the Seniors Advisory Council for the WoodGreen Community Services. Our members are creating and producing Students of Aging podcasts funded by the Government of Canada. These podcasts address issues pertinent to older adults. If you're a new viewer or listener, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Today, my guest is Sandra Thompson. Hello, Sandra.
Hi, Jeff.
Sandra, we're going to talk about you.
Well, thank you.
Is that your favorite topic?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
But today it will be.
Good. Let's start with where and when you were born.
I was actually born St. Joseph's Hospital in Sudbury, but my parents were actually living in Levack, which is a satellite mining town north of Sudbury. And I don't think they had an emergency clinic, but they didn't have a hospital.
Right.
To say.
And what year?
1939. I'm 85. I'm 86 in May.
So let's go back. Where did you spend your childhood?
Well, I spent my childhood, early years, till about 6 years old, in Levack.
Mm-hmm.
And then we moved to Sudbury. And until I left Sudbury for nursing training, I was in Sudbury.
So that's a northern mining town.
Well, the whole basin
Yeah.
was mining town. Sudbury was kind of the central core, and then there were a number of towns around Sudbury that were mines as well, sort of satellite towns
Right.
that were purpose-built
Right. For mining.
for mining.
And what was life like up there?
I particularly remember I was free. We would go out in the morning, roam around, come home. There were no kind of limits on what we could do.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, I think that was a very positive experience. I climbed trees, I climbed rocks. I started a little fire that I thought I would have a little house in. Someone came along and stopped me, and I went home and hid under the bed.
How old were you?
Oh, probably 5. But it was just one of those childhoods where you were little sort of bush babies. I played with, the children in the neighborhood because there were a lot of younger families.
Right.
So I was playing with them, rubber boots on, and really when I think back on it now, and all the precautions that parents are telling their children to
Today, yes.
take, that mine was pretty free and easy.
So there were no playgrounds, shopping malls.
No. The milk came in a horse-drawn cart.
So what does a young girl play in?
I had a baby carriage.
Yeah.
We played in the woods. We tried to make pretend houses. We climbed rocks. We climbed trees.
Yeah.
Apparently Diane Penman and I got caught in an ice floe in the Onaping River and someone rescued us. I totally forget that. So we took risks.
Yes.
Which I think is a lifelong imprint.
You carried that into your adulthood.
I would think so, yes.
You're a risk taker.
Very much.
Were there any tragedies? Were there any?
Not that I recall at that time. There were later, of course. I mean, there's always...
Sure, but not as a kid. What was the politics of the time
I have
like?
no idea.
No.
It was an isolated town. It was war years. I do remember ration books, but beyond that, I haven't a clue. It was a different kind of life living in that environment. You were in almost like in a bit of a bubble, so to speak. The men went hunting in the winter, the fall, and they had a lot of parties. There was a garden out back, and I just
Played.
played.
What were the women like? What was your mother like?
Well, she had a lot of lady friends. They just liked to have bridge parties, and she didn't work, and she just stayed at home.
Was she a happy woman?
At times.
At times.
at times.
Okay.
It was a different life. I mean, women had to wash
Sure.
the clothes.
Yeah.
If you think back to those times in the 40s, they didn't really have all the appliances that they have today. So there was a lot of housework to be done.
Very different than women today, I would assume.
I think they're different from some women.
Okay.
I think there's some women that still drink the Kool-Aid.
So you left to go to school?
Left. Well, I was in grade 1 in Levac,
Right.
and then they decided I could skip a grade.
Oh.
So I think I got into grade 3 in Sudbury. And then in grade 8, I was a class valedictorian, and then went on to high school.
What do you remember about your schools?
We sat in the regular kind of desks.
Yeah.
There was a special opportunity class for those less gifted. I always did well in school. And Mrs. Edith Devine in my grade 8 class was marvelous. And I won a provincial essay contest in grade 8. So I was, pretty bright.
What do you mean she was marvelous? What?
I just really liked her. She read a story at the end of the class. She would always read to us, and she was very encouraging and very lovely.
Yeah.
So I really liked her. I always remember her.
And how did you come upon nursing as a choice in education?
There weren't many choices, Jeff.
Okay.
Somehow I got the message that women were either secretaries, nurses, flight attendants. That was somehow in the air. That's what you did. And that's what young women did. Beside the high school that I went to, there was a technical school. You could get very good technical training there. Mm-hmm. So for young boys, for boys and girls, young men and women.
How about boys who were academically fit? Were they limited?
I don't think so, because I remember one young man that I went to public school with. He went on to become a doctor. So I don't think there were the same limits for boys as there was for girls. My father said at one point, only boys go to university.
So you didn't want to be a flight attendant. You didn't want to be a secretary.
So I went into nursing.
You went into nursing. All right, let's talk about that for a bit.
Well, nursing was in Montreal at the Royal Victoria Hospital, which is now no longer in operation. And I wore a uniform, I'll tell you this, that came down almost to my ankles. It was a pink striped uniform with a starch collar and an apron that was starched. Then after 6 months, we got a bib crisscrossed in the back. Our hair had to be off our neck. After 6 months, we got a cap, and we had classes, academic work, and then we had straight work periods. And we worked. We really worked.
What does that mean?
Well, the first job that I had, the first piece of work that I had, when I think of it, was in a medical unit. And this is left over from the Boer War. There were 16 beds down each side of the ward. And we had 10 patients to take care of. And at one side there was a shower room, and the other side was a bedpan room. And there was a kitchen at the beginning of the ward, and we made porridge and coffee. And that we did for a period of time. I think 6 months we did various wards, and then we'd have classes. So a lot of it is very different from what they do today, because that was working, learning through doing the work, experiential.
Yes.
I don't know how many beds I made, hundreds.
What's the difference today? There's more schooling, more theory.
I've got mixed feelings about that.
Well, go ahead.
Because when you do the work, you learn in a different way with hands-on.
Better,
I think.
I agree.
Not that you don't need the knowledge, but the actual ability to do the work and understand what's happening to the patient
Yeah.
is really crucial. And that I did learn there. I did poultices, bed baths. We had to bathe one another. Basic temperatures,
Wow.
basic work. And gradually, as we moved through the year, it was a 3-year program, we got more responsibility.
Right. So you worked as a nurse,
I worked as a nurse.
right? And then you went back to university?
No, I worked as a nurse, was married, didn't work for a while, then worked again. And eventually, I moved out to Calgary. Decided somehow, I think with the encouragement of a next door neighbor, that I wanted to go to university.
So your nurse's training was not university?
No, that was in the hospital.
Oh, so you didn't get a degree? What did you get from the nursing school? Did you get
A diploma.
A diploma. Okay.
Yeah.
So you go to Calgary and your next door neighbor convinces you.
To apply for university.
Were you still working?
I was still working, but I'd always wanted to go. Always.
Why?
Because I just was smart. And I wanted to do
Yeah.
something with my intelligence.
Yeah.
And I'd done well in school. I was always a good student. And I think, my academic training at high school. And I'd also taken a number of courses while I was still in Toronto at the University of Toronto.
I see.
Because I worked at women's college for quite a while.
Right.
And so I had enough credits from U of T to get into second year of social work. I thought, if I don't do it now, I'll never do it.
How old were you then?
40. It's one of those pivotal moments where an opportunity presents itself. And for me, it was do it or you'll never do it.
Yeah.
Do it right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you'll never do it. Because I got accepted. I got a student loan. They gave me credit for the university credits that I had and started me in second year. I said, I can't pass it up.
So off you went.
Off I went.
And how did it go?
Well, I wrote my first essay and got a good mark on it. I thought, I can do this. I can do this.
Yeah.
So,
That's enough. And out you came the other end, a social worker.
yeah, BSW. I didn't go to a social work career, per se. I went back to nursing,
Yes.
and then started using social work in the nursing.
Can you explain that to help me understand
I
that?
think at one point when I was working here at Chester Village, when it was a nursing home, I ran a support group for relatives of Alzheimer's. Now, I would say the combination of the nursing and social work just really melded well together because it helped me to understand people more rather than just sort of the clinical aspect of an illness.
Yeah.
It's,
Yep.
the social environment,
Yeah. The family.
family, and so on. So it was
It's
really
much more holistic.
more holistic. Correct.
Good for you.
From age 57 to 67, I taught the personal support worker program at Humber. I was a contract worker, but I did that for 10 years. And I think they hired me because I had a degree, not just a nursing background, but I had a university degree. And it was a new program starting out.
So you're more groundbreaking for you there.
Well, yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Why?
Well, it's always interesting to find out about people.
Yeah.
And you've got people coming in, maybe the brassiere factory's closing down. That's what one student told me.
Really? From making bras to PSW work? They must be related somehow.
They wanted another career, and this was an entry point. So I was fascinated. Because of the social work, I was interested in them socially
Yes.
as
Yes.
opposed to what they could do. And also because personal support workers aren't necessarily academics. They're more empathetic
Yes.
people, and
Yes.
they need some knowledge,
Yes.
but they also need the ability to relate to other people and understand.
First and foremost, I would think.
So That was always interesting.
Did you deal with empathy? Is that a teachable? Can you teach empathy?
Well, I don't know you can teach it, you can model it. I think because I knew about the work, because I'd been in long-term care. I'd been here for 10 years.
Yeah.
So I knew the job. So I had the confidence and ability to be able to tell them about the job.
Yeah. It seems to me today that in senior care, maybe in care in general, we would be lost without PSWs.
Well, the PSW program was an amalgamation of healthcare aid and homemaker. So they decided to put all those disciplines into one program. So that was really the start of the program. And at 57, I got a job. And that's unusual. But it was just the right circumstances at the right time, right resume.
The right candidate.
And the right accreditation.
Yeah, for sure.
The right degrees.
Yeah.
And diploma.
Yeah. When did you retire?
67.
You were 67
I was
when?
67,
Okay, when you retired. And then what?
Here I am. Here I am.
Yeah.
Well, I retired 2007. I was 67.
Okay.
2009, I had a right hip replacement. 2011, I had a double valve repair.
Oh boy.
Open heart surgery.
Oh my goodness.
And life has just progressed since then.
How is it? How are things?
It's a mixture. It's a mixture of getting older, facing limitations, facing lack of physical function that I used to have. I used to do some weight training for years.
Yeah.
And I can't do that anymore.
Right.
And I can't run up the steps anymore, two at a time.
Yeah.
And I haven't been downtown in months and months and months.
Why?
It's just too exhausting.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just too tiring to do that because I have my walker. I can get off and on the streetcar or the bus and the subway.
Yep.
So that's not the issue. It's just the fatigue that comes with that. Because I've got an enlarged heart. You know,
Don't ask.
I'm getting old.
So how do you cope with all that?
Well, some days better than others.
Sure.
I am depressed.
Sure.
But I do have, what's interesting, a cardiac psychiatrist.
Wow.
Because I knew after my heart surgery that something wasn't right. And I was really anxious to speak to someone about this. And I was in rehab at Toronto Western and I heard a fellow talking about this doctor, and my ears perked up. And I said, okay. So I phoned him and I made an appointment. He said, well, I'll need a referral from your doctor. I said, that's fine. So my doctor sent a referral. And I've been seeing him ever since. Well, not seeing him, but I have phone visits.
He helps you cope with?
Well, he understands. You see, anybody that... Heart surgery is a different kind of entity than other kinds of surgery. And there's a lot of people with PTSD after heart surgery. It's hard for me to explain the feeling, but I knew something was different.
And you tied it back to the heart surgery.
Oh yeah, very, very definitely. Yeah. And he understands.
Wow.
Because that's all he does. It's a kind of event that affects you.
Yeah.
And changes you.
Yeah. Deeply.
Deeply.
Yeah.
And you think of being sort of cut open. I've got wires in my chest.
Yeah.
My ribs are tied together with wires.
Oh my.
And I have a pacemaker.
Yeah.
And I've had what they call an ablation.
But you're still here.
I'm still here.
Yeah.
And determined to sort of carry on.
Stay here for a while.
I don't know how much longer. I've seen a cardiologist in April.
Yeah.
And it's still going on.
Good for
Life
you.
is still going
Yes.
on. But that is, in essence, sort of a short way. There's days that are not very good.
Sure.
I
Sure.
call them lost days.
Okay.
You know,
Sure.
there's a song called I've Got a Small Day Tomorrow.
I don't have to go to bed. I've got a small day tomorrow. A small day tomorrow.
Let me ask you the last question.
Sure.
Legacy.
Well, I'm very big on taking charge of your life.
Yes.
I hope to avoid, and I tried to avoid, the obstacles that my mother faced. She wanted to leave her husband after they were married, and her parents said, "You made your bed, now lie in it." And it didn't end well. But women are pretty well subject to a lot of obstacles. You couldn't get a bank account without a husband signing.
Right, right.
So my legacy really is to say, you have to advocate for yourself. You have to be strong for yourself. You have to do what you think you can do and do what you want to do and just work to get it. And other people cannot do it for you.
Right.
You have to do that. You have to take the reins and do it yourself.
And you're proof of that.
Well, I hope so. I'm big on mental health for women
Yeah?
and also financial stability.
Oh, yes.
It's really important to kind of look at what you've got, start saving, and be able to know that you can take care of yourself financially.
Yeah.
If you don't have a partner,
Yeah.
or you're not living in some other living arrangement where you're being supported, to be able to take care of yourself and to do your research and know what you're getting into.
Yeah. Yeah.
Money has almost been a taboo subject for women. Well, we don't talk about that.
No. No.
No, that's not okay. My final legacy is, yes, be financially stable, know where your money is, and advocate for yourself. I was in the hospital a couple of weeks ago. Thought I had pneumonia starting again. It turned out I had COVID. I was in a cubicle, and I got off the stretcher on a chair and put the chair out in the corridor. And the nurse said, "What do you want?" I said, "I want some attention."
Good for you. Yeah.
Unless you do that, you know, and as an old lady,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
older women, and perhaps older men as well, I can't speak for them, are not taken seriously.
No. And become invisible. Yeah. I just want to say, Sandra, I've known you for a couple of years, and you are, in all the time I've known you, you are bright, witty, and joyful.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed talking with you. That was really fun for me.
Yeah.
Entertaining.
Yeah.
And sort of thinking back over my,
Oh, yeah.
the arc of my life.
Yes. Without being maudlin, or, just, there's no
There's no point in that.
value in that. No.
It's not helpful or constructive.
No.
My name is Sandra, and I'm 85 years old.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more amazing content every week. If you want to catch more of our adventures, check out the videos right here on our YouTube channel. And remember to leave a comment below. Let us know what you think or what you'd like to see next. We love hearing from you. Catch you in the next one.
On the next episode,
Separate bedrooms.
When I started to work, Charles was Karen.
All right, yeah. You told me.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
For years and years and years, I was living with Karen.